Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. In a recent address at the Civic Coalition convention, Prime Minister Donald Tusk outlined a controversial element of Poland's new migration strategy: the temporary suspension of the right to asylum. He stated his intention to seek European recognition for this decision, citing concerns over the misuse of asylum rights by figures like Belarusian President Lukashenko, Russian President Putin, and human traffickers. Tusk argued that this policy would enhance Poland's security and appeal to returning citizens. However, his proposal has drawn sharp criticism from human rights experts. Former Deputy Commissioner for Human Rights Hanna Machińska condemned the move as a violation of European law and Poland's international commitments. To explore the potential consequences of this policy and its likely reception within the European Union, we're joined by human rights activist Nilofar Ayoubi. Nilofar, welcome to TVP World and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for inviting me.
A pleasure. Now, before we get started, there's a short video that I'd like to share with you and the audience, and then I'll take your view on it.
Sure.
Here it is, coming up.
Take back control, ensure security. That's what this strategy will be called. I will present it at the October 15th cabinet meeting. To us, it is about the exact opposite approach to migrants than the previous administration had. What we want is for Poland to regain 100% control over who comes to Poland.
100% control of who comes to Poland. Is that such a terrible thing?
I mean, it would be better phrased 100% control over government officials of Poland. I mean, you cannot punish refugees for the incompetence of your own government figures or authorities. If you really don't want migrants, maybe don't get involved in their country in the war or conflicts in their countries, or maybe make legal ways more accessible so the people shouldn't be forced to risk their lives through the borders and suffer.
Understood. Okay, so make legal ways more accessible. Can you expand on what you mean by that?
I will give you the example of my own country, my own example, because I was saved by by Polish army and Polish government, and I'm grateful for that, and I always talk about that. After being saved by Polish government, when I came to Poland, it was the Polish people who helped me and support me and my family and the rest of Afghan refugees. It was the non-profit organizations and human rights organizations who helped us. The government just left us out on the limb. And you know, it's hard. It's hard when you come to a country, you don't know the language, you don't know the culture. I mean, it's not that we're complaining. It's like we don't want to offend the culture of that country, so we need more help to integrate, to know more, to learn better. But this opportunity was very limited by...
What would you like to have seen happen?
I mean, first of all, you bring people, there's no translation, there's nobody who talks to you. You send them to a corner in a refugee camp, which is fine. But at the end of the day, again, inside those refugee camps, there's this non-profit organizations who comes to the rescue. From the government, I only witnessed the border guards coming, questioning us, and of course, because we were brought here on a special circumstances, it wasn't so tough for us. But there were people, there wasn't any housing opportunity for us. Like after a year, I moved out because my friend helped me to find a house, and the house that I lived in, the owner decided that, okay, this family, I want to help that. It was a Polish person or family. But then there was people with me in the camp Grupa who couldn't move out of there because they couldn't afford financially to rent a home, and nobody was ready to give them homes because they were refugees. And at the same time, after 1 year, the government was pushing them and kicking them out, said that you have to go and find a place to live. How?
Right.
It's catastrophic. I mean, it's not, I'm sure it's for all the refugees. And now let's go back to the Belarus situation. I'm a human rights activist. I have also been involved in evacuation after I was evacuated. We receive hundreds and thousands of calls from the border the moment they arrive, because they know that we live in Poland. And of course, I give interviews, so they know that I'm active in this field. I receive calls that after crossing the border, if they manage to cross the border, they're beaten, they're disrespected, and without even talking to them or asking them, who are you, from which country you come, they're kicked back to the other side of the border.
But should they, I mean, doesn't a country also have a responsibility towards its inhabitants, its population, to keep them safe? I mean, one of the tensions, I understand, is, yes, you know, we have humanitarian obligations, but we also have an obligation to our own people to keep them safe. So that's where the tension lies. As I understand it, you need to be able to vet people before they come in. When they're flooding in, it's very difficult to do that. What should be done about that tension?
But how are you going to do that when you have closed all the consulates where people can go? The doors are closed, people cannot reach out there. I mean, certain countries like Afghanistan and maybe in the Middle East where active war is going on, maybe find a solution for them, give them an option, online option, let them fill those forms, at least give them an opportunity to ask or seek for asylum, process their cases, and then if you think they're not eligible, okay, but if you have closed all the doors, how are you expecting people to survive?
So you're saying there's no opportunity for people to apply for asylum?
No, my family, I'm giving you example of my family. It's been 3 years that they are in Afghanistan. They have been imprisoned, tortured, because they wanted me to be silent or either to go surrender. My brother was tortured to an extent that he lost his sanity. They injected him with drugs to torture me. The human rights organizations in Poland know that. But no matter which door I went to in Poland, in the Polish government, that, okay, sponsorship, if you want these, some of the non-profit organizations came forward that we will take the responsibility of integration. We will help them to integrate. We will help with the housing, with the finances, with the medical stuff, everything. But can you give them a chance to get a visa or apply for a visa? Send them to India. But they very well know that India has closed any kind of visas for Afghans from August 15th.
Why do you think that is?
Because we know India has its own proxy policy in the region. Pakistan has its own, Iran has its own. But when it comes to Afghanistan, of course, when in the past 20 years, all these NATO troops were there, you know, even they have left their own allies. So I'm just trying to say, if you don't want illegal immigrants, first of all, don't get engaged in the conflict in their countries, or at least don't arm.
But they're no longer engaged in the Afghanistan conflict, and yet
that doesn't make them any less accountable.
Well, then the conversation is circular, isn't it? Because I mean, there are other countries such as Syria, for example, or Somalia, from where these refugees or illegal migrants are coming. It's a long way from Somalia to the European Union. What about countries in Africa? I
will say this, and I will repeat myself. This is the incompetence within the government. Visas are being sold. All of us know that this is happening. But when it comes to eligible people who really are in danger and they want to apply, all doors are shut to them. And they cannot afford these high prices to pay for the visa. I mean...
Is that true for countries surrounding, for example, Somalia?
I'm not sure about Somalia, but recently I received a message from an Afghan number with a package for Poland saying that visa for Poland package is 15,000 zloty. I can show you the screenshot, I can give you the numbers, but unfortunately, what can I say? How is this happening when my family, who's eligible and I claim to know it all and, you know, well integrated in this society, I cannot reach Polish government to convince them to provide a visa for my family. How the hell I'm receiving messages that $15,000 per visa for Poland.
Zloty?
Dollars. It's dollars.
Yeah, I mean, clearly what your family is going through, and many others, I'm sure, in Afghanistan, is a complete travesty and a tragedy. And, well, that's a conversation that I'd be very happy to have with you in detail. But in terms of the general the policy that Prime Minister Tusk has started to talk about, in fact, there's another short video that I'd like to share, and then we'll continue, okay?
Sure.
So that people who come to Poland want to pay taxes, integrate into Polish society. They must accept Polish standards, Polish customs. These are people who deserve respect.
To są ludzie, którzy zasługują wtedy na szacunek, na respekt.
Right. So, in terms of, I mean, you know, it is generally accepted that European countries do need migrants, do need properly qualified migrants, to contribute to the economy, and that's what Prime Minister Tusk was referring to there. So, what I understand is that if people are given the opportunity, the channels, I beg your pardon, to apply for asylum or for visas legally in their own countries, then that is what should be happening. And so it's European governments that should be looking to improve that. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's the best shot that they can take. I mean, instead of spending hundreds and millions in the border, they can create agencies, mechanism for processing these files and asylum seekers and, you know, screening these people.
Yeah.
I mean, I am in Poland in 3 years, and I have always said that if you need any help regarding recognition of any Afghan, anything, background check, please come to us. We are ready to help you at the border, because Afghans are really, really struggling. I am a person who's against illegal immigration. I have been against illegal immigration since I was in Afghanistan. I even ran campaigns that do not take these dangerous roads. But when it comes to countries like in war, like Syria, Afghanistan, in these places, there should be a proper mechanism for them.
Yeah.
Or at least if they make it to the border, instead of kicking them right away, give them some time. Check their backgrounds. If the documents are not enough, if they don't have enough evidence, then for sure.
Yeah.
I 100% agree that Poland and Polish security is very important, because now I'm also living in this. My kids are living here, and I want this country the safest and the most beautiful country. I'm integrating in this country. But at the same time, I want everything to be fair and just. I think it's not fair to punish those people who are already suffering for the incompetence within the government.
Yeah, I mean, I perfectly understand. That makes absolute sense to me, but there are issues which that doesn't address. For example, we know that Germany has started to tightened its border controls, and one of the reasons that it cites is to limit Islamist extremists coming into the country. So there has been an uptick in that type of violence in Germany. Also, even under EU legislation, the choice of imposing such restrictions is available to independent countries for their personal security. So how do you think Poland's statement and strategy is going to go down in the European Union?
I mean, certainly, European Union will not be so happy, because, of course, Mr. Tusk himself has the experience of leading the European Parliament. But when it comes to Germany, I think Germany is to be blamed for most of the crisis in the European Union, because of their failed policies, because of their failed laws, and now people are suffering, European Union is suffering, and of course the level of extremism we see is I'm also sometimes I'm shocked and I'm afraid of what's in the future. But as I said, everything can be solved if the right kind of mechanism is there. But if you don't want illegal immigrants, mostly men, but at least give the women and children a chance. They are always the victim of anything, you name it. If it's the terrorism, if it's the war, if it's even the policies in the European Union. This is women and children who are suffering.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, again, that is a matter worth further discussion. Unfortunately, the majority of these illegal immigrants that come in are male, so that confuses the issue. Unfortunately, Nilofar, we have to end it here, but it was a pleasure to listen to what you had to say, and we look forward to welcoming you again soon.
Thank you so much.
And that's all from us on this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, lots more coming up. Goodbye for now.